Welcome back to Ultra Unhinged.
Uncovered.
Unfiltered. Unfiltered. Oh my gosh. All right. Welcome back to Ultra Uncovered, Unfiltered Edition, Fire Road Edition. I'm Corinne Shalvoy, joined by Russell Ditsworth. And we are a couple days post Black Canyon Ultras presented by Hoka. It is not Black Canyons, people, as Mike McMonagle mentioned. It is Black Canyon Ultras presented by Hoka. And we were both at the race, and we are here today to debrief our own respective races, talk a little bit about observations of the competitive field, and just some things that we saw out there. There was a lot going on. It was a party, as it always is, over Black Canyon weekend. Castle Rock showed up big. There were lots of surprising things, but lots of also like kind of expected things. And we're just going to dive into some takeaways and focus mainly on how our own races went. I lined up for the 100K. Russ, you lined up for the 50K, and we'll get into how the days unfolded for us.
Yeah, it sounds great. And I mean, there was just so much buzz too. I mean, right off the top, so over 1,000 runners in the 100K, and I think there were over 1,000 in the 50K. I saw, I think, 850 finishers.
Yeah.
So for both of those distances, 100K and 50K, Black Canyon Ultras is going to be one of the largest races in the United States for the entire year for either of those distances. And they happen on separate days. So it's like we saw a lot of like crews for the 100K, then running the 50K, just everyone being out there for kind of the whole weekend spectacle, from the fastest side of the race, the speediest professionals, all the way to people out there searching for Western States qualifiers, finishing under 17 hours in the 100K, and first-time ultramarathon runners in the 50K. I saw the final finisher in the 50K was on course for 10 hours and 58 minutes for a 50K. So it's also one of the most approachable and accessible ultra marathons out there.
Yeah, really kind of taking a page from the Javelina book of, this is a little bit lower, like shorter distance. This is 100K and 50K, whereas Javelina's 100K and 100-mile. And it really is a great, entry point into those distances for many people. I think I also loved that there were just so many brands there, different brand wars. We saw the founders of Janji. I think this was the first, and I saw something posted that someone, I think Kyla, a former athlete manager at Janji, would also echo this, that someone had given one of the founders a performance review that said you need to get more involved in the sport. And so they immediately signed up for the Black Canyon 50K to run it themselves. And I think it was their first ultras. And so I saw that, Mike Bernstein was out there rocking the whole Janji kit. Of course, they did a collaboration with Aravaipa on their latest artist series designed by Abigail West, amazing artist. And so they were wearing that, and it turned into this battle against Satisfy, because also the Satisfy founder, Brice Partouche, was there also running the race. And I happened to be there at the finish line. Noticed that Mike did outpace Brice. Brice was looking pretty stylish, though, as he would. I don't know how Dave ended up in the mix of all this, but there were all these other fun storylines, that we were following. There were people that did both distances and did the back-to-back. A lot of people that are like preparing for things like Cocodona. Last year, Randy Zuckerberg did that. There's a lot of people that take on the double. There were people that came in from and we're going to talk about Burrito League. You're wearing your Burrito League staff shirt there, Russ. There was Burrito League representation, a Burrito League pop-up at the Deep Canyon Ranch Aid Station, but also Sarah June, who was, I believe, third on the Tempe segment. She was running the 50K. We had people, like Chris Myers paced Eli Hemming during the 100K, 450K, and then race the 50K. All kinds of like creative ways to do something on both days of the weekend. So it was really fun.
Yeah, not only Black Canyon, but the Mesa Marathon, uh, half marathon and 10K was on Saturday morning as well. So we have athletes like Allison Baca go out and run the Mesa half marathon and set a PR in 1 hour and 15 minutes, and then come back and try to run the 50K the next day. So it was a big running weekend as well. I mean, our friends from Castle Rock Run Club were there for the Mesa Marathon and then came out and enjoyed kind of seeing the last parts of the 100K and then stayed the night in Prescott Valley and hung out for the 50K the next day. So just a fantastic running weekend. One of
Running's
the
on
really
the
interesting
rise.
stories, and I want to hear your take on it, is I heard Eric Jenkins, who is a media commentary and a commentary person and a personality most known kind of for his participation with Sidious Mag on the track and field side. I heard him say on his podcast with Aisha, I think is his co-host name, that after this weekend, he feels like he is more likely to try a trail 50K than a road marathon, which
Yes,
I think is really cool.
that's awesome. I think he got influenced by many people, but it was super fun. I had the chance to commentate the 50K with him in studio on Sunday, and yeah, it was really fun. I mean, I feel like kudos to him for jumping in with both feet and just like kind of doing something he doesn't know that much about, but like being very open to just rolling, going with the flow and like learning about it. And I also think it's cool to sometimes get different takes and perspectives. You know, Graham told me that like he listened a lot on Sunday, and he's like, I think it was good that to have the two of you together, because like you would then ask him like, where would you want to be? Would you want to be leading or chasing, you know, in this Seth and Cade Michael duo, like where would you want to be? And he is somebody who has been in super tight races and just kind of can bring the perspective of like, oh, like I'm a competitor and I know what it's like to be in that situation as well, and have kind of these fresh perspectives. So it was really fun, and he's a funny guy. He's funny, and he's got kind of a really casual like demeanor, and so it's you feel like you're getting somebody's first impression of the sport, somebody who knows running but who doesn't know trail and ultra running, and that is also kind of just like a unique angle that you get to be part of and hear all about in real time.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, okay, so real quick, I got a question for you about the 100K before we get into your 100K experience or your 100K race.
Yep.
Um, you know, what is one thing that surprised you on each the men's and the women's side of the 100K fields? I've got a few things in mind as we were kind of watching the race unfold. And I'm not sure how much you were able to look back. I know obviously you followed, from the half point on, and we kind of saw the finish and things like that. But what are a couple things that surprised you as we, because we spent a lot of time thinking about kind of the competitors that were going to be in the race and kind of diagnosing some of those dark horse picks
Yep.
that were out there. So I want to give you a chance to call out a couple things that surprised you on each side.
I think, and I don't know if it's like necessarily that it surprised me, but I think I'm just still a little bit stunned with how quickly the women's field continues to develop, and how, you know, I kind of am like, at some point we gotta, there has to be some kind of a plateau with these course records, and like right now they just seem to keep falling in ways that are unheard of. You know, the ability for someone like Jen Lichter to execute a 100K distance at the speed that she would probably bring to a 50K race on a course that, yes, is rocky, but is maybe not what I would think of being her ultimate strong suit, just because she's such a strong climber, such a strong technical runner. Like this course to me seems, slightly out of her wheelhouse. And she just, I think I learned that she is an absolutely like fierce competitor, just so fierce. Like, I'm going to win this race. That is the goal. That is the, like, just all business. We were talking about being, she's a stone cold killer, kind of like she's scary.
I don't know that she cared too much about where she was relative to time and previous course records. She was
Yeah.
competing against the people on the day, on the course. And, that's all that she had in her mind.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And then we will talk, we might go more into this, but just kind of the unflappable nature of Anne Flower. Um, it's a little more interesting to kind of observe her because she just is so calm and collected and confident in this like quiet way, but also just seems very intimately in touch with like her own abilities, effort level, what she can do, like, and very, very just mentally sound, like, to kind of just be able to roll with anything, and stay super, super focused. And I think also I'm just like, I continue to be impressed with Tara Dower. And I mean, she gave the best post race interview that ever was, completely being herself. But like, she it, she ran 14 minutes faster and got third place at this race. Like, I don't know, it just but she's also brings this very different, like, whereas with Anne, you wouldn't think she did anything all day. Like, it looked so easy and effortless. Tara's like, this race is messed up. I don't know why I did this again. Pure, like, just, and I think that's how a lot of people kind of feel when they finish these things. And so for her to put it into words and be so relatable like that is kind of really awesome too. I love that.
Okay, so the progression of the course record.
Yeah.
2 years ago, it was in the 840s, and so last year Riley's course record, I think 816, dropped it by a significant portion, and then this year 757.05 by Jen Lichter. But all of those women, including all the way down to fifth place Abby Hall, 827.50. Shea Aquilano, 834.03. That's sixth place, and all six of them were under the course record from 2 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, 6 of the top 10 fastest times ever run on this course, according to the Ultra Sign Up results, were run this year. And also the stat that stood out to me was that Jen Lichter's time would have won the men's race only 4 years ago. Won the men's race. And usually in these fast races, we see a bit more separation, but both Anne and Jen ended up in the top 10 overall. So they are up there mixing it up with the front of the men's field, the back of the front of the pack in the men's field. That is like, it's just so wild to me. And as we'll talk about, like, this course, man, everybody kind of gets humbled by it, like, to a degree. So to run those times over the terrain and to run it so consistently throughout is just really insanely impressive. And I mean, we didn't talk about Molly Seidel, but first 100K, like, she landed herself a golden ticket. She's going to Western States. Like, she stayed super gritty. She problem solved. She, led for a little while, but then she just, was okay with not still being in the very front and stuck with it to the point where she landed herself a golden ticket in her first ever trail race in 100K, or first ever 100K.
I am so amazingly impressed with Molly's performance from Deep Canyon Ranch to the finish, because what I heard was that she blew right through Gloriana Mine Aid Station, mile 24. And in the first half of the race, that's your biggest section that you have without aid, from Gloriana to Deep Canyon. It's about 8 miles, a little over maybe. Yeah. And it's starting to get hot, and it's so close to Bumblebee that it kind of sucks you into, like, I don't need aid again. I was just at Bumblebee. I'm fine. I was just at Bumblebee. But then you've got this big stretch, and I'm sure she came in like out of water and, ready to kind of like, what I say, like reset. But like most people can't come back from that and stay in the pack and stay with it and keep that high effort. So, I mean, just the amount of grit and determination that it must have taken to like keep contact, because she wasn't that far off. She stayed in that group. That the finishing times were 8:25, 8:27, 8:34 between Molly, Abby Hall, and Shea Aquilano. So,
Tight.
you know, two people right behind, and I so impressed.
Yeah.
So incredible.
Me too. Me too. I mean, I think that why don't we talk about something that surprised you? I don't know if you had something on the men's side, but like, what did you take away from the weekend?
I take away something that I tell myself every time I come to Black Canyon is that it's rockier and harder than you think it is, even if you remember back to the previous years that you've done, those trails. And it's not even necessarily that it's just like there's just rocks everywhere. It's also that your footing is off camber a lot of time, even when there's smooth-ish trail, your footfall lands off camber.
Yeah.
And so if I said this, before we started, but the live stream tells lies. Like you zoom in on the live stream as they are showing these incredible runners moving so swiftly and fastly across the trail, and the trail just looks like a light brown, amazing, buttery single track. And yeah, it's twisty a little bit in spots, but you don't see the finer detail. You don't see the fact that they are, and maybe they're just cruising so quickly that they take an off camber step, it's no big deal. But I found it very challenging, and I did find that the limiting factor towards the end of just like, I just twisted my ankle or overstepped on my ankle a few too many times, and you'll lose power in the ankle. It's kind of hard to drive your foot and drive the rest of your body. You're kind of just, swinging your arms and making your way across the course as quickly as you can. But, you don't have to just be a great athlete. You don't have to just be a great runner. You have to be a great trail runner to do well at Black Canyon.
I totally agree. I mean, I was reminded of that in that section after Bumblebee. And yeah, I mean, we can get into my race, but there were a few miles there that I know that they're slower than they should be because it's flat. But I know that the terrain is limiting, and I'm looking at my watch going, I am really trying really hard to run these miles faster, and I'm still not running them any faster than I ever have in the past. And it's just like the terrain just limits it. It's so like it makes it that much more impressive that people can, navigate it in that way. And I don't know if there's, a strength component to it, if it's just one thing that did strike me is that I think that I saw that, who knows if it's exactly accurate, but the Jen Lichter's average cadence was something like a 189 or something. And so maybe, just those tiny little just steps, like constantly. And if you're used to doing that, I don't know, maybe that's helpful. I have trouble with shortening my stride and my cadence. So maybe that could help me go faster over that terrain. Yeah. The men's, I mean, what did you think of the men's race? Like we did have some random people, and man, our friend Ferdinand Aroux almost got himself a golden ticket. It was so fun to watch at the very end. But one of my,
you say Ferdinand, but we mentioned you actually, the very first person that you mentioned when we moved to our dark horse section was Jordan Bramblett. And the guy got out there and was not afraid of any of these runners out here. He led through Antelope. He led through Hidden Treasure. He came in first, but he was right with Hans and Eli at Bumblebee. And so, he really took the race by the horns and said, I'm gonna go the pace that I want to go on this thing. And then when he got passed up by Hans and Eli, I wasn't sure what would happen to his race from that point forward, but kind of like Molly, he just really stuck in there, and ended up being able to cash in a golden ticket, and he was so excited,
Oh
man.
yeah.
Craig gave him the ticket at the end, and you could just see the excitement. This is like a really a big career uh, defining spot for somebody like Jordan, who can parlay being on the Aravaipa team to maybe something else in the future. And what a great run by Jordan. So
Yeah.
just congratulations to him. Trayson and Canyon Woodward. These guys are good, man.
They're
We,
here to
we
stay.
need to stop calling them dark horses. They're not dark horses.
No.
They're not lesser known athletes anymore. Trayson's made a world team. He's now a golden ticket winner. He's going to Western States. I mean, if he's not on your list for Western States, I don't know what else he's got to do.
Yeah, I mean, and for Canyon to turn around after, what had to be a race that dug a bit of a hole, he went pretty deep at Javelina. So for him to turn around fairly quickly, over the winter and put out this kind of performance at Black Canyon when he didn't really have to, just like Tara,
Yep.
Abby, they lined up to practice the competition, maybe to just see what they could do on the course. And I think that's, there's a lot of admiration to them for doing that, and just respect for towing the line and mixing it up with the best of the best. And I think it's kind of cool because for Canyon, this is his ability to say, hey, I didn't just get a ticket given to me. I could have gotten a ticket here.
Yeah,
This would have,
would have earned it right here.
would have earned it. Would have earned it. Didn't need,
He earned it there. He earned it at Javelina too. But
yeah, like, but just another statement of like, yeah, it's he's awesome, and this was his first race as a Mount Coast athlete. I'm even more impressed that he could wear like H1s over that terrain. Like, to me, I don't know. Graham said he probably would wear those because they're a little lower profile, but um yeah, first race as a Mount Coast athlete, showing up for your sponsors, always an awesome thing. And then yeah, it was like, I don't know, they're just some good people, some good guys in that group that I think we know, having followed them for a long time, work really really hard. So it's really cool to see it pan out for them.
and then the last one that I want to point out, how about Sage Canaday
Yeah.
coming in for seventh place, running 7:52, the same time that he ran 10 years ago to win the race. First Masters athlete finisher. So he turned 40 in this last year.
It's awesome.
Um, you know, it, he's in seventh. That's I think tickets could roll as far down as that if it were to come to that. But
Yeah.
Ferdinand would get a shot first, and then Sage is in that next position there.
That's awesome. Like, really happy for Sage with everything he's been through, and to continue to run at that level. It reminds me of, like, Andy Wacker. We had an ATRA call this morning, and Andy was on there, and Andy just set a PR, a mile track PR for himself, running a 4:03 at
Ooh.
is, I think he's 40 as well. And like, it's just so inspiring. I mean, we're both, in our 40s. It's so cool to see that you can keep getting better. Like, that's really really inspiring. And maybe even, and even especially in a field like this, where I was looking at the start list on both sides and thinking to myself, this is turning into like a younger athletes race. Like, there's a lot of 20 somethings in this field. And so you're like, oh, could you still compete? And so for Sage to show us you can, and people like Tyler Green think, in the past, like, that's awesome as well. So yeah, love it. How about the
Yeah.
50K?
Okay.
Any takeaways? Well, maybe we should talk about the 50K when we talk about your race. But
We can talk about the 50K. I'm good to talk about the 50K is a young person's sport too. That we saw. Who's it? Bit Klecker.
yeah, Bit Klecker, Liz O'Connor. I don't know exactly how old she is, but she looked pretty young too. I mean, Jane Moss. You know, yeah, Seth's in his 20s still, isn't he?
Uh,
He might be 29. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, they're people like Chris Myers and they're
Seth is 31.
oh, 31. Okay, okay. He's a little bit older than I thought he was.
Adam
He's so
Peterman is
old.
30.
So old. Oh,
Cade is 27.
okay, Cade's 27. Yeah. Peterman's only 30.
Correct.
Oh my God, Peterman's only 30. The Peter God's only 30 years old.
We're going to have a lot more years of Adam Peterman coming through here.
I just have to say I really like Adam Peterman. I interviewed him after the race. He's such a nice dude. He's like so purely nice. Like he has, he doesn't come across as really having much like having a I shouldn't say like no ego, but he's just like he's he's kind of down to earth and like also like he and Hans both their excitement about like running in general is just totally palpable. They're just both really really excited to be out there and I think that you can never like downplay how much that helps you as an athlete in this sport. So yeah, so Seth Ruling lost his 100K record from last year, but gained the 50K record this year,
Yep.
running almost the entire race. So it was interesting to hear afterwards how it actually shook out because the first thing Seth said in his post race interview was Adam Peterman took this race out so hot and so fast that I was like, what are we doing? And he's like, I looked over at Cade and told him, I think this is a little too hot. They ran a 5:12 first mile.
Yep.
And then they continued running really, really, really fast splits for probably, through that Antelope aid station. And apparently it was Adam Peterman who was pushing that pace. And then, I guess Adam started to feel his Achilles a little bit and maybe just decided to back off a little, kind of went through a rough patch. And so it appeared from the outside that he was like being smart and just sticking in that fourth, fifth position. But in reality, it sounds like he was just kind of struggling a bit and wondering, oh, is this gonna, is my foot gonna hang on? All this stuff. Seth and Cade proceeded to run step for step and start to gap the rest of that front pack. And they were running together and we were wondering, because they're friends, they're in Boulder together. We're wondering like, are they helping each other, working together, or are they actually like competing against one another? And then eventually we saw Seth kind of move away. It was like on that bumblebee climb out. Every time we saw a climb between the two of them, you could see that Seth was maybe a little stronger and starting to move. And then eventually he kind of broke away and left Cade, and he cooled at the last aid station before the finish. He did not, and we were like, oh, he doesn't have Seth there with him to tell him that he needs to cool and to take care of himself. He's not he's not mentoring him anymore. And then all of a sudden we noticed that Adam Peterman was surging and charging and gaining on Cade. And for a minute we were like, what happened? We thought he fell. We thought Cade, because we didn't see him in the screen, and we were like, where is he? Turns out he was only about a minute back of Seth, but it was enough that you couldn't see them both on the drone. And so then the question became, well, this has happened to Cade in other races. Like he has had some struggle at the end of these things. Like he's faded. It happened in Canyon's 50K. Like, is this going to happen again? And so it made for a super exciting end of the race to see that then we really didn't have coverage between that last aid station and the finish. And we're just waiting for somebody to come down that
come down off the hill
around by the studio. And we look up and who was it? And it was Adam. And we're like, oh, somewhere he passed him. Like, and so Adam Peterman with like a really strong last handful of miles to take second place. And he was honestly not that far behind Seth either. And then Cade came. So 1, 2, 3 on that. And it was like heck of a race, just so fast. I mean, there's times and there's splits. Like the previous set, Jeshurun had run 322 or 324 last year, and what they run 317, something like that.
16
16, just so smoking
for
fast.
Seth, and then 18 for Adam and Cade. Uh, I'll tell you, no one looked happier to be done running than Cade. Cade, he went across the finish line and gave Seth a hug, and it just looked like everything. He had put everything out there, and kind of just thrown it all out there to finish like that and to stay in contact. Because he was only maybe 25 seconds behind Adam Peterman.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. No, it was really exciting. Joe and De Leon repping Satisfy out there, rocking fourth place, also running really fast, 323. And Ryan Sullivan,
Mm-hmm.
who, teammate, but former Aerovipa teammate, but now Norda athlete. He's so fast, 324. I mean, Jupiter Carrera Casas, shout out to him. He led this race for a little bit early on. And I
Yep.
was like, dang, Jupiter's going for it, man. So it was really cool. And shout out to Brett Horning too for taking 10 minutes off and getting one place less than he got last year.
Yeah. Now, with the 50K here, I mean, I know this will never really happen, but I would love to see a little bit of pack running with the women's race for the 50K, because it's really hard because they get kind of like sucked into the men's field at different spots.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's hard to identify kind of where the leaders are and kind of what's going on with that dynamic. But Jane Moss with just like a really, I'll call it like a professional type execution, because some women were out ahead of her, and it was almost like that wasn't a bother. She came in to Bumblebee, did exactly what she needed to do, took care of herself, and then proceeded to just mow the rest of them down and finish, only a couple minutes off of Allison Baca's course record from last year.
Yeah. Yeah. Really, really smart racing by Jane. Liz O'Connor, I think, coming from the roads, we learned a little bit about her. She kind of ended up having a classic ultra bonk, like 4 or 5 miles from the finish, and said that she not only was like out of, probably dehydrated and maybe low on calories, but also, then kind of started falling and,
Oh, geez.
was walking and falling for the last like 4 miles. So, I mean, it's pretty amazing that she hung on for second place, because there was like a really hard charging Lindsay Allison coming behind her. And Lindsay Allison also took a fall. Everybody had epic blood. She hit her chin. It was gushing everywhere, got all over her kit. But she was looking really, really strong at the end. And she finished also under 4 hours, 3:55, well under 4 hours. Then Bit Klecker, a younger sibling to Joe Klecker. You probably know way more about Joe Klecker than I do. Who's Joe
Yeah.
Klecker, Russ?
Olympian, 10K runner, on athletic club, basically like kind of like the on athletic club captain, I would call it. He and his wife, Sage Herdeklecker. Sage had a great world championship cycle this last year, and both Olympians. I believe Sage is. Maybe Sage, this was one of Sage's first teams. Maybe she did not make the Olympics last year, but Joe certainly did in the 10K. And, he ran his first marathon this last year at New York.
Okay.
And is kind of getting into the longer road scene. But their dad, I believe it's Barney Klecker, used to be the 50-mile U.S. U.S. record holder until Jim Walmsley beat that record.
Oh, so cool.
So there's a lot of history with ultra running with the Klecker family. So
that's awesome. Yeah, and she was right
seems
up
to be
there.
getting into it on the trail side.
Right up there in the mix. We were like, who is this? And then, I have Corinne Malcolm texting me like articles about the Klecker family and how they're all badasses. Like, thank you, other Corinne, for filling me in on what's going on here. Yeah, I like that her name's Bit. that's kind of cool. It's Elizabeth, but she goes by Bit, and I don't know any other Elizabeth whose nickname is Bit, but I really like it. It's super fun. And
Yep.
then yeah, who was behind Bit? The woman who was actually leading for a lot
Aaron
of the
Moyer.
first part of the race, Erin Moyer, and everybody kind of was talking about her ahead of time, that she's a 109 half marathoner, so
Yeah.
fast. So she led, and then faded, but again, these people that faded, they worked through things and they like hung on. So yeah, really, really
Well,
awesome.
now
Des
this is
landed.
2 years in a row. This is 2 years in a row with best blood coming on the women's 50K field.
Oh
I
yeah.
think last year it was a woman that had a gash on her eyebrow, and it was just streaming down her face. And then this year with Lindsay Allison's chin and her finish and the blood all over the. I mean, it's just that they're gonna have to rebrand the 50K here if they got a best blood award.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it shows you how rocky and how easy it is to fall in this when you're trying to run fast on the terrain. So yeah, the 50K was super fun and super competitive. And I saw that Jamil had posted something saying that since they turned it into a 50K, used to be a 60K 2 years ago, it has now become the biggest 50K in North America. So everything that Jamil touches continues to turn to gold and grow and flourish. And yeah,
It's
it's
got the Midas touch
the
from
Midas,
races to Burrito League.
Midas touch for sure. Well, let's end on your race because it was much better than my race.
All right. Oh, okay. So I'll ask you a question about your race to get started here. Um, what was your mindset in terms of where you wanted to be in the field in that first 7 miles up to Antelope? Because it goes out so freaking fast. Did you have like an old races splits up, or like what were you thinking as you were going through? Because I think you probably went through Antelope in maybe like 25th or 30th place on the
Yeah,
women's
that
field.
sounds about right. And I went through Antelope at 7:15 overall pace, 54 minutes and 59 seconds.
Okay.
Um, Actually, I didn't want to go through Antelope that fast, actually, originally.
Yeah.
Um,
Graham said
I
you were ahead of splits there.
I didn't know. I only had my Bumblebee and Deep Canyon splits like memorized. But I knew I didn't really want to run a bunch of low sevens in those early miles, like maybe more like 740 type. But I felt good. I felt good. That being said, I took a I took a fall around mile 6, which I wonder if I fell in the same place that Francesco fell.
You fell on the same rock.
It might have been because the problem is the the sun is hitting the trail at such an angle. It's all about the angle of the sun, if you ask Graham Shalvoy, but that's an inside joke. But it's hitting the rocks at a way in a way that it's really hard to see them, and there is this section that it's flat, but it is just baby head rock covered, like mossy baby head rock across the whole thing. And I was leading a group, like a train of probably like 9 people, and I just hit one the wrong way and I went down really hard. And everybody, I mean, I went down, hit like multiple rocks, scraped up the whole side of my leg, and basically fell off the side of the trail. And then everybody's like, "Oh my God, are you okay? Are you?" I'm like, "Just go, 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 go. Like, don't worry. I'm fine. I got I got this." I feel like it maybe twisted my ankle a little bit, and I definitely banged my knee. So it hurt when I got back up, but I didn't think it was anything that was like too crazy. So I kept running. It loosened up, and I was able to work through it. Like it wasn't super detrimental. I did wonder if my ankle was gonna swell or if I'd hurt it pretty bad, but I think it was more of the scratch on it and the cut that I was feeling than necessarily rolling it, because it didn't end up swelling. But that did shake me just a little bit. It's never fun to fall. I know lots of people fall and keep going, i.e. Tara Dower. And, but it does, I mean, I don't know. It affects you a little bit, I think. Um, let's see. That being said, like, I was feeling pretty good. I felt fitness wise and like just mentally, I felt pretty steady. I ran some miles with Nicole Hansen. She ended up running a great race, ended up just outside the top 10 herself and ran like a 9:23. So kudos to her for running a super, super strong race. She's a teammate of mine. We were running together. We saw Bryce Brooks out there. He took some video, which was really fun. And I mean, I was really enjoying it. I love the trail. It's beautiful. The desert was beautiful. The temperatures were great. And I wasn't worried about where I was in the field. I didn't even want to know where I was until Deep Canyon because I very much was expecting to be in the 20s, 30s with how fast I know this race goes out. And I was fine with that. Um, so yeah, I mean, I kind of just continued to stay steady. Got into Bumblebee, and you guys were there, and you did a great. You were there helping. It was an awesome, awesome execution. So fast, like
It's like a 10-second stop.
yeah, it wasn't quite as fast as like Tara with her just run through and put the vest on. But it was real fast and real like I remember that last year in the 50K, I was a little frantic and I was a little bit grumpy at that aid station, and I did not want to do that this year. Like, I am going to be nice to everyone at this aid station. I'm going to be calm. I'm going to be nice. I'm going to be thankful. I'm not going to be rushed or crazy. And yeah, you guys had it dialed. So it was fun. It was great to see everybody. In retrospect, maybe I was a little bit too calm because I think maybe it was reflective of the fact that ultimately what happened is I don't think that I had quite the competitive drive that I would have liked to have or was hoping to have on the day overall. So yeah, after Bumblebee, I think I arrived at Bumblebee in 14th, Graham said. No,
Okay.
24th, 24th.
Yeah,
And
because
then
you
I was
moved
into
up.
Deep Canyon in 14th.
Okay.
So Bumblebee, I was 24th. Coming out of Bumblebee, you guys had put ice on me. I was cooled down. I had been eating, drinking. It was great. Didn't have a pack on anymore, had handhelds. And I went up the Bumblebee climb and I felt really strong. And I looked up and I saw Anna McKenna and I was like, whoa, all right. Well, somebody came back to me. This is cool. Like, I must be running well. And so I passed her up that climb and I think I PR'd that climb. Like, I've run this race 7 times and I think that's the fastest I've gone up that climb, which maybe that's a good sign for my climbing strength and abilities. But then I got into that section I was talking about where it's like so windy, the arroyos, the big rocks, and I'm like really trying hard to run like 8s or 8:30s, and I look down and I'm just running 9s, and I'm like, God, this is so frustrating. It's so frustrating. A little bit of back and forth there. I think I had a couple of women catch me in that section, but then I re-caught back up to one of them, and she told me, I can't run downhill. I can only run uphill. And I was like, well, I feel like I can kind of only run downhill. So we're going to probably see each other a lot. And we literally kept passing each other like 3 or 4 times. Every single uphill she'd catch me. Every downhill I'd catch her. It was kind of crazy. I don't know how she ended up in the race. And I actually don't know who it was because I didn't recognize her. But I'm going to have to do some investigation because I'm really curious like how her day panned out. But I got to Gloriana. I knew I needed to refill or top off bottles at Gloriana because I know that stretch is somewhat technical. And then, I think between Gloriana and Deep Canyon, something happened with me mentally that I just started to kind of spiral a bit, get into my head, like a little bit too much about like, do I want to keep, doing this for the rest of the day? Like, do I know how hard it's going to be? I know how much I'm going to have to push. And um, I, I just kind of started losing like that motivation, drive, competitiveness. That I think you need that mental energy and that mental capacity to to do what you want to do on the day, and I kind of lost it between Gloriana and Deep Canyon, um, and it's okay.
Well, you were still like really moving well all the way into Deep Canyon. So did you have a point at like did you have a point at which you were thinking like, okay, I know I'm going to end my day here, so I'm going to still push all the way in here? Or was it more of like a I'm still just going to keep this effort and then we'll see? Like were you leaving it open or had
Yeah,
you already kind of
I
decided?
don't know. As you know, I had fully decided
Yeah.
by the time I got in there. But that being said, I did think to myself, like, I'm still running well. I'm gonna push the rest of this. Like
Okay.
this is now to me turning into like I'm gonna get the most I can out of a good day of training, hard work, and running fast. And like I still, yeah, I wanted to kind of, give it my all at the end there. I wasn't gonna like slow down and start walking or anything, but yeah, I had pretty much decided before I got in there that I thought I was gonna call it at 50K.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
which,
that's
I
cool.
don't know, and I did, and like I came in 14th, and Graham later told me, I thought about saying to you, well, will you ever be 14th halfway through this competitive of a race, ever again in your future? Like, would that make a difference? And I think he knew, and I know this about him too, that if your mind is fully made up on something, it's kind of pointless to try to change somebody's mind. Um, I wonder slightly if taking a caffeine pill at Bumblebee was not a good thing for me. Um,
Okay.
I actually, just trying to diagnose it a little bit, think that could have caused my mind to spin up a little bit more than maybe I wanted it to. That, then everything was in overdrive, and it caused me a bit of like, whether it was anxiety or just overthinking. So that might be something that I change in the future, of not doing that. Just,
Limit the
yeah,
caffeine.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Well, as some friends of ours said in previous years, I had a great day. I just entered the wrong race.
yeah, that's exactly it. It was a great 50K. It was a great 50K, and I decided like I would like to take that training and roll it into another 100K I have here in 6 weeks. I'll be running Desert Rats, and between now and then, also just work on the mental side of, really thinking about the whys, and some strategies of what I'm going to call on, when it starts to get to that point of like, yeah, this is hard, but I think the mental piece is something that I need to continue working on. And I think a takeaway for me is just that your why for why you're running evolves over time. It changes based on your life context, how long you've been in the sport, all those things, and it evolves. And I think I need to just really try to get back in touch with what it is for me right now. That's the driving factor and the motivator for me. And so I'll try to work on that between now and then.
Yeah, still lots of a great year ahead, and you're coming out healthy, and you're coming out, still able to train and do other things, and that's a great spot to be in.
Yeah, yeah. I ran almost the same time I ran the 50K last year.
Well, speaking of, I almost ran basically the exact time that I ran 50K last year in
Really?
coming into
But
Deep Canyon.
you PR'd though, didn't you?
I did PR.
Okay.
So, and here's what I tell people is like, you're never allowed to be disappointed at running the fastest that you've ever run in your whole life
Yeah.
across a distance. So I did post that on my Strava. I'm not disappointed. I'm very happy with the time, but it doesn't mean I'm content,
Uh,
right? Like
fair,
there's still pursuit that's left in there
fair.
because I think there's more in there. But I am very happy with the result. But what's funny is that I ran a 50K PR last year in the first half of the 100K. I think it was 4:57 when I hit 31 miles on the watch. I don't think I was into Deep Canyon before 5 hours, but I think I did hit the 31.0 on the watch at 4:57. This year broke that by a few minutes, so under 4:50,
Oh,
hitting
that's
the
a
watch
lot.
time.
That's a
Yeah,
lot.
by quite a bit. And then I was into the finish at 4:55 or 4:54. So I'll call that a 50K PR for sure. And it was definitely challenging. But what I'll say is that I think I nailed one of the things I think I nailed was salt and hydration, even over carbohydrate intake. And I think that for me, nailing salt and hydration limits the debilitating cramping and some of those issues that are like don't allow you to fully express your fitness on the day.
Mhm.
And so for me, having a limiting factor be like kind of the ankle and kind of some, some muscular strength, I think, in the hips and just like having it be like muscular but not cramping necessarily. I think was good. Energy wise, aerobic fitness wise, I don't feel like those were the limiting factors in moving more quickly over that terrain and on that day over 5 hours of racing, which I thought was really fun. So I also went through Antelope. A lot of these sections I was able to look at, like, I've now done these sections four
Yeah.
times: 60K in 22, 60K in 23, 100K in 25, and now this year. So I was able to look at my times across 4 years and have a lot of like, big section PRs, like start to Antelope PR, Antelope to Hidden Treasure PR. I think the only thing I didn't PR was the climb up out of out of Bumblebee, because I was like, actually, what I was doing was I was messing with my phone because I wanted to start listening to the live stream.
Oh my gosh, as a true fan, spoken as a true
I
fan.
was like, I need something in my ear right now. So and so I listened to the 50K finish between that section, the men's 50K finish between the section of Bumblebee to
I
Gloriana.
love that.
And I remember hearing Seth finish and looking at my watch and saying, I am at mile 22 and he is done with the race.
It's wild.
So
It's crazy, but
very,
yeah.
very impressed with that type of a performance. But
So
I had a great
what was
time.
your plan going in? Like, did you plan to take it out faster? Kind of just want to go by feel? Like, what was your strategy?
So my initial strategy was not to go faster in the first section. The strategy was like, hey, even 440, 50K is like 9 minute pace. Like I don't need to be going sub 7 to start this race. And
Yeah.
I don't need to be hitting 720s, 730s at the beginning of this race. But I think what happens is you get kind of caught up and then 730s don't feel very hard,
Yep.
and so you just roll with it.
Hmm.
Um, and some people say like smoke it while you got it.
Hmm.
So I don't think I slowed myself down just based on pace, but I did check my effort because I saw our friend Matt Johnston ahead of me. And I was like, oh, I should go catch up. And then I was like, no, I shouldn't go catch up. I should just run and be steady in where I'm at with my own effort. And I looked at heart rate a little bit and was like, okay, I'm fine. That's fine. This is fine. It feels good. I feel smooth. Let's just keep it like that. So I really didn't try to change anything other than like check myself with my own effort.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, you ran really consistently. Like I feel like it was like there was, yeah. The second half is more technical and it's just harder. But overall, like it seems like it was super consistent. And then I was, I came out of commentary and I think you had kind of just finished not that long before, and I was like, "Where's Russ?" And everyone's like, "Oh, he's doing a burrito league segment." You went directly from the finish line to the Burrito League segment. Still had your vest on. Everything just like straight into the Burrito League segment.
Yeah, I just walked right over.
Did you plan
Um,
that?
no, no, I
Wait,
didn't plan that, but
hold on. You did that after doing a bit of a sprint finish in the shoot.
oh my gosh, yes. Well, Charlotte and Brendan they're road runners. They've got competition in their mind. So they were asking me beforehand. They were like, "So if you get down on this last little section and someone's behind you, you gonna outkick them?" And I'm thinking to myself, like, I care about setting a PR. Like, I don't really like if there's some random person around me. Like, I'm not gonna want to get all competitive. And of course, some guy was coming up on my outside, and I was like speeding up as I was coming around to the corner. And as I turn the corner, I'm like, fine, I'm just going to turn it on and empty the tank here to the finish line. And sure enough, the guy comes around me because, like, maybe I'm just not as fast as I think I am anymore. And I was not very happy with him. And so I kind of flipped him the bird for just a half second. And I kind of I regretted it right after. I'm sure he's a nice guy. Like, he's just trying his hardest at the end too. Like, it's not a personal affront, but
I love it. I think it's great, because at your heart, you're an athlete, you're a competitor. Like I think it's great. I think it's great. Like, I would much
great.
rather see that than people holding hands across the finish line today. But I applaud you for.
That might be the opposite of holding hands across
It
the
might
finish
be the
line.
opposite extreme, but it's okay. No, you could have pushed him. You could have literally.
Physical contact.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. No, but that's awesome. Well, I mean, it seemed like you had a blast, and all of our friends, like, they did great. The attitudes out there were awesome. One benefit of dropping was I got to see both Andrew Garrett and Justin Kraft, who I coach at Deep Canyon Ranch, and helped them before they left and continued on. And so that was a pretty special thing to see. And they both finished under, well, one, Andrew was right around his time goal, and Justin had a 20-minute PR on the course, if not more. So just always, like, inspiring to see just the determination and their continued positivity, forward
Yeah,
thinking.
there was no question in Andrew's face and attitude of, like, here's what I'm doing. I'm doing my plan. I'm going. And then Justin was sitting down. He was pulling a little bit of what I pulled at Table Mesa last year, hanging out in the aid station a little too long. I think he gave us all
Valentine.
Valentines
Yeah.
and with jokes on them, and it was awesome. Actually, he wins in terms of understanding how to have a great attitude at an ultra.
Yeah, I agree. He told me beforehand he was going to hand them out to people, like, on the course, and I'm like, you're going to carry Valentine's cards and candy and hand them out to runners on the course? Like, this is so cool. You're like way. This is, yeah. That's really. That just,
That's
yeah,
legendary.
yeah. It was legendary, but congrats to them too. So, well, how are you feeling post run? You
Oh,
sore?
a little sore, but I'm excited. And the last thing I was going to say. So, out of the friends that did the 50K, there were four of us that stayed up in Prescott Valley: myself, Justin Henry, Matt Johnston, and Chris Fanant. Three of us are signed up for Leadville this year:
Woo!
myself and Justin and Chris.
Yeah.
And this will be Chris's first Leadville attempt.
Mhm.
And all of us had great downloads of, like, this is a great, like, first step of, like, dialing in kit and feeling good with some of these things. And I just think it was just a successful weekend by all of us that hung out there together. And to be able to come and do a race and have that kind of experience is fantastic. Something that I don't take for granted. So awesome day, and more awesome training days and races to come.
Yep. And then we both got kind of souvenirs from Randy. What is Randy's last name?
Yes.
The Burrito League pop up. She had a sewing machine out there and was doing custom, patches put on gear. So you've got your Burrito League "See you tomorrow" on on your sleeve, and then you
Yep.
got a patch on your pack. And
Yep.
I got a Black Canyon patch put on my John G by Aravaipa jacket, which is super cool. So yeah, I'm gonna be getting Randy on the oh, it doesn't have her
Women
last name
can.
on here, but I'm gonna be getting her on the Women Can page. Along with Jen Laughlin, who Jen's been the social media director for Aravaipa for a long time. She does great social media work. And she's also kind of become a bit of an influencer herself, sharing kind of her story of like going through menopause and being a female athlete in her late 40s, if not, she might be 50 now. She kind of blew up. She's putting out all these cool posts about just real authentic, like, this is what it's like to go through this as a woman, and I love that. So yes, there were good things that will come and be shared on Women Can as well.
Nice. That sounds awesome. My Howie Stern starting pick is me with a Women Can segment picture.
Yes.
So I'll share
Yes.
that with you.
Yeah. Please tag me in there. We got to put that on the page. And Greggy Greggy on the Seggy,
Yeah.
Cactus Moose. Greggy, his name is Greg. Oh, what's his last name? He was out there as well. And repping a Women Can top, doing
Like a
Greg
crop top.
Varigan. He made it into a crop top. He was out there repping, so really appreciate the love on the Women Can front.
It's awesome. Well, we will come back with some episodes on races upcoming. So
Yes.
keep an eye out for that, and keep an eye out for our next fun one. I think we're going to talk with potentially our PT.
Our local PT, have a little bit of an injury prevention or myth buster type PT insights from someone who has probably seen half of the entire Castle Rock Run Club in his practice, and hopefully that'll be educational too. So yeah, thanks for listening in, and we will see you all soon.